This project is a gift, all right? So you can't tell anybody. It's a secret, okay? Promise?
Hey, W here. Welcome to my workshop. And if you have ever been here before, first of all, thank you. And second of all, welcome back. I'm in the sort of planning and layout phase of a project that's going to be a gift, a birthday gift for my daughter. She's just recently gotten into Dungeons and Dragons, which is kind of cool. I didn't know that kids had, well, she's not a kid anymore. She's a grown up, but you know, she's young. And I didn't know young people these days did that. So for her 24th birthday, I'm going to make a thing that has something to do with Dungeons and Dragons. And what I've decided to make for her is a collapsing or collapsible dice rolling tray. So I've got some materials. I've started planning it out off camera. I'll show you what I found out. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to go. Like I said, I'm still in the sort of planning and layout phase. I know what I'm going to make, but I'm not exactly sure how. So let's dig into the weeds of this. Now, first of all, as you can see in this picture here, and I hope I'm not infringing on anyone's copyrights, this is the thing that I found online, and I'm not copying it, but I'm definitely inspired by it. And it's hexagonal. So the first thing I did in this sort of planning phase here was work out sort of how big I wanted it, I think, and there was a limitation to it, or it doesn't have to be, but I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. But there's going to be, to stiffen the I'm going to make it out of this leather, I think. I have some thick, like this thick core leather as well, but I think I'm going to make it out of this, because I think the thing that I want to do is make it in 2 layers. So one of these is the inside and one is the outside. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm pretty sure, actually. But obviously, this is very floppy. And if I want it to be a tray that sort of holds her dice and it doesn't just flop around, I'm going to stiffen it. And I actually happen to have this piece of stock. It's, what is that? 1.5 millimeter cardboard stock, and I think it's good. I know that this is the same kind of stuff that they use for bookbinding. I know a bookbinder, and she'd use stuff like this sometimes. And it's nice, a nice regular sheet, and you can glue on it, and it's the size of a sheet of A4 like this. So if I'm gonna make it out of this, the stiffening that goes inside, that means I had to work out the size of the tray for this material, or I'd have to go buy more of this stuff. So I started by working out some layout. The one thing that I had to work out, of course, was the size of the tray itself, that it fits within this, but I'm going to have some sort of edges on it, which require stiffening as well. And in order to get enough material out of this, I had to work out how tall these edges were going to be. And there's a little bit of a trick to that, or there's something that I had to take into consideration. For each corner of this tray, the tray body is over here, there's a sort of, this edge that comes up like this, that's sort of stiffened. So I have the body of the trays down here, or the bottom, which is a piece of this, a hexagonal piece of that. And then I'll have strips also of cardboard here, stiffening these edges that come up. Now, in order to fold up a flat piece and turn it into a tray, what I'm going to do, you could sort of see it in the picture I just showed you for inspiration. There's going to be Snaplocks. And what I had to work out was, how tall do the sides need to be in order to accommodate Snaplocks? It was a requirement that I had to work out for the heights of these, that I could fit 2 Snaplocks here and still fold it. With all that worked out, I think the first thing I need to do is to cut out the pieces that I actually need from this. because if there's some leftover, maybe I can do a little bit of testing. Okay, well this works. I actually happened to draw this accurately. So, but anyway, this works as a template. So I'm basically going to use it as a template. I'm just going to cut this out of the paper so that I can use this to cut the cardboard. Unless I completely wrinkled it up before I get that far. There we go. I just want to show you guys. I don't know if you can tell on camera here, but I used my compass for part of this job. And I just want to show you this awesome compass that I have, drawing compass. Check this out. It's old. It's, I don't know, from the 50s maybe, but check it out. Look how beautiful this is. I think maybe it came from a school. And I think it was in East Germany or something like that. And I found it it was just like a thrift store or something like that. But look at this. Boom. Little cloth there, little rag. And check out this original Richter. I think that means drawing or something like that, with a little gold thing on the back. It's so cool. Anyway, yeah, this actually works as a template for cutting out this. And this takes a little bit more, I was about to say concentration, something like that. Because this is, like I said, this is fairly thick and very easy to mess up when you're cutting it. So, nice sharp blade. Right. But I think maybe I should transfer this like so. Because otherwise I'm going to start moving the template around while I'm cutting, and I think that's a very bad idea. So there we go. That should be it. And also a thing that I prefer to do is trace out the lines, even though I'm going to be cutting in the exact same way by putting the ruler right there, and then I might as well just cut right away instead of drawing and then cutting. But yeah, my experience tells me that just getting your line work down is a pretty good idea. Make sure that also, that's the way you make sure that what you're doing is actually what you intended to do. I don't know about you, but I never, ever, even with thin regular paper, I don't assume that my first cut is going to go through. My first cut is always a pilot cut. It's going to guide the next cut. So the first cut is always done with a gentle hand. A pilot. And then increasing force as the cut deepens and the likelihood of the knife slipping out of the cut decreasing. So that's the base of the thing. Now the edges, it just so happens, and this is no accident, that the side of each side of this hexagon is exactly half. So these 6 sides is going to be 3 strips cut in half, which also means I can make these as tall as this accommodates. And I don't think I need all of it. I have decided I'm going to make them 3 centimeters. So yeah, so that's what's happening here, is I'm going to put a mark at, that's at, 3 centimeters. And sluice. Boom. And then, like I said, these need to be divided in the middle. I have a trick for that too. Actually, I just want to show you. So I can measure it and say, well, that's 21 centimeters, which means that the middle is 10.5. So I'm going to do like this, and ostensibly that mark is in the middle. Now, if I want to make sure, I flip it and I go 10.5. And as you can see, as you can plainly see, those marks are not aligned. So the middle of the piece would be exactly in the middle between those two marks. Assuming I've been even slightly accurate and measured the same distance from either end, I can be fairly certain that what I've got here is the middle. And then I just do like this. Oops. And there's the middle between those two marks that I did. So I'll just pilot all of them. And there's the pilot cut. I find it with the edge of the blade. And then I just follow it. There we go. So unless I have messed up, these are exactly the same length. And I'm going to go right ahead and say, you know what? They're definitely close enough. So these are going to go, let me just show you here. These are going to go, each of them is going to go like this inside the leather. So I'm thinking between two layers of leather, these are inside like that. And then they fold up like this to make the tray, which also means that, where did I put those? Yeah, these, the Snaplocks, there's going to be a little bit of a difference. There's going to be a little bit of distance, making it possible for this to fold over two layers of leather. So it's going to be, I'm just going to make one corner. I'm just going to show you one corner. So like this, and then the Snaplock is going to go in here, like there. So that when I fold this flap, there's going to be a small flap of soft leather between those two pieces. And when I fold it and close the snap lock on the outside, when I close the snap on the outside, the edges are held up. Ain't that neat? That's what I'm hoping for anyway. That's what the picture said. So these are actually for the final product or final project. And this is surplus. And I want to do a test with this surplus. There's two things that I want to find out. Thing number one. Do I glue the cardboard inside between two layers of leather? Do I stitch it between two layers of leather? Or do I glue it and stitch it between two layers of leather? So it's going to go inside like this, right? And how am I going to do that? Oh, this is going to look good. Thing two, the stitching itself, around the rim of it, is going to be as one seam, one row of stitches, right? Just to make it look pretty. And I want to find out if I can do that on my sewing machine. I have an awesome sewing machine that I love, and it's quite powerful, but there's powerful for a sewing machine, and then there's two layers of leather powerful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little test. Yeah, I think I'm going to grab a piece out here. Like that. And then from this baby, actually, you know what? I think the decision is making itself. I'm gonna contact cement the cardboard on the inside. I'm just gonna glue this. I'm gonna put glue on this and glue that on, and I'm gonna glue this on. Because I can feel just handling this right now, if I'm imagining that I have to stitch these in order to hold the cardboard in place, but until I do, it's going to sail around in there, that will drive me crazy. And also another thing that I was just thinking about, especially with this super soft leather here that I got my hands on, it's going to, why would I just, if I don't glue it, it could conceivably crease over time. And why would I allow that to be a possibility? Oh, this is lovely. This is, holy cow. No pun intended. That's lovely. So I think I'm going to break out the contact cement. Okay, so I'm gonna cement these. I should probably use a brush, but it'll be fine. And some cement on this surface. There we go. And then I'm going to give it a slight, very slight hit with the heat gun. Right, and that's nice and tacky. I put that on here. And now I'm going to just cement the other side and the edges a little bit more. And out here along these edges, because I want those to also make contact. You know what I mean? Oh, great! Both cameras cut out. Just as I was basically at the very end of the test of the part where I was gluing these together. So, okay, with cameras running again, I can say that this got pretty good. I did another little test. You can see there's some stitching there, and that's. I think I pulled out the sewing machine and I tested to see if I can sew through this leather, which I can, and B, if I can sew through this leather with cardboard inside, which I also can if I get the settings right. But I'm actually starting to think, just looking at these little tests here, I think I'm going to hand stitch it around the edge, get it a little rustic. I'm not sure about that, but anyway, the test itself went swimmingly. I've got these two pieces of that leather, the sort of slightly rougher and coarser outside leather, and the fine, super soft inside leather. And yeah, it works really well. I'm going to forge ahead because I think my project is, I think I'm doing this, what I'm doing is right. It's going to work. So the one thing that I found out, having done this test that I now have leather with cardboard inside, is, you remember I said there was going to be a couple of millimeters between here? I think it's not just a couple of millimeters. I think because these, the allowance here around the edge of this test piece here, there's 5 millimeters of allowance right there, or the flap here is about 5 millimeters, and I can tell that if something is going to bend and do it properly without pinching too much and without being too tight, that's, at least 5 millimeters. I need at least 5 millimeters in between here, maybe a little bit more, so that this can fold effortlessly and the snaps can close and hold it. So I think it's going to be 5 or 6 millimeters, but that's also, I think that's okay. Because what I also think, obviously in order for this to work and look good, the leather has to be glued to all of the cardboard, including on this, the edge right here, so that when I do this, it doesn't start letting go, and the leather starts sort of folding or creasing off of the cardboard. It has to grip. And one of the ways of doing that is making sure that if there's enough space between these two, when I glue it, I get enough glue in here, in this space, and that I'm able to push the leather together. I think this project is going to work, and I think it's going to go the way I want it to go. But honestly, right now, I'm not sure what my next step is. So I'm going to switch off the cameras on purpose this time and find out what my next move is. Okay, so I think my next step is cutting and gluing the leather, and then put the snap locks in, and then stitch it around the edge, and then I'm done. And there aren't that many steps to this, but cutting the leather makes me nervous. So I want to do a template, and I was thinking that this brown paper, which I like to use for covering my worktop, would also do nicely for a template. So I'm going to make it out of that. And I need my spacers. Am I having a stroke? No. Okay, 6.5 millimeters. I think that's the least amount of space that I'm going to need. Put this away like that and like that. So this is it. This is the layout, which means that I should be able to say that this is, if I go like this is my idea anyway. If I carefully, without nudging anything, hopefully, at least without nudging it too much, like this. And then I think I want to mark the ends of these two on my template. And I'll tell you why later. I want to make it pretty clear to myself where the cardboard sits. Ah, well there's an idea. If I do like this, that gives me the width of this ruler as an allowance. There we go. So my working theory is that this is now both the inside and the outside leather. They're identical. So here's the first piece of leather, or one of my pieces of leather. And now it's the moment of truth. Will this... Oh my God, I'm so happy. I was genuinely worried for a moment. I'm not kidding. I wasn't sure that this would fit on. And as you can see, this leather is... I told you, it's rustic. Some parts are more rustic than others. But I think this is perfect. I think I want to cut it right around here. And the leather is more than big enough. And it's just the right amount of rustic. It's wonderful. Okay, so anyway, that works. This is a lot more forgiving in terms of prettiness because I can't get over how lovely this piece is. And again, genuinely worried for a few moments because this final piece is a little bigger than I thought. But this is also big enough. One more thing that I have to test. I'm doing a lot of testing, and I always do a lot of testing, or I often do a lot of testing before I start the actual work, because I want to make mistakes at a point where they are correctable. I want to find out if this works on leather. I think it's supposed to. I don't know if you know this. It's a cutting wheel or a circular cutter, whatever you want to call it. And it's for fabric, but I think it's for leather as well. And I'm about to find out. It's awesome, by the way. Ta-da! Because if I did this with a knife, it's difficult not to pull. I mean, in leather and even worse so in fabric. And that's what this is made for. And it's amazing. And it does the leather just fine. I don't think I have the courage to start cutting these yet. I want to make sure, I'm just going to think through the project one or two more times because I don't want to waste this leather on something I hadn't thought about. No, one more thing that I was going to do. I'm just going to do this. Remember that I marked these out? The ends of those cardboard pieces. I'm just going to line those in. So what are you going to do on this weekend, huh? It's summer in Copenhagen, but it's raining outside, so this is perfect. I want to see if I put these, the Snaplocks right next to the cardboard reinforcer there. Is there room for it? And I think there is. I think that's actually a little too far in. All right, I think I'm ready to cut and maybe probably glue the leather. So, so how to do this? I think the nice bit is I can put this pretty close to that edge, but as you can see probably, I'm near the limits of my cutting mat here, and what I prefer, oh my god, I prefer not to have to move it while cutting, but I think maybe I'll have to. Obviously, this being leather, you can't needle it or pin it down like you do with fabric. I'm just remembering right now, seamstresses, or seamsters, I don't know why that had to be feminized, use weights. You use weights to keep your pattern down. I should find or make some weights. Okay, so this is kind of funny. It turns out that the sort of densest, heaviest substance that I could just quickly find in my house is modeling clay. I had one clump, and then I just divided it into four and I put a little bit of cling wrap around them so that whatever this stuff is made of doesn't get on my leather and my fabrics and stuff. But these actually weigh about 100 grams each, and they're pretty good. I mean, that's keeping this thing in place. So should I just get cutting? I think I should just get cutting. Being careful. There. There, and the last one, which I'm trying to turn this without making a foul up. Like that. I don't think anything has moved. There we are. And now the other one. I should probably be even more careful because this one is thinner and softer. Like that. And put my, see? My clumps saved me. Thank you, clumps. These are my leather pieces. What's going to happen is that these are going inside. All of these pieces are going inside like that. So this is getting glued inside. And then the other layer of leather comes on like this. Then I'm going to glue all of this together, and I'm going to make sure I get into this. And then I'm going to punch in these snap locks here in each of these wedges. And then finally, I'm going to trim the edge and stitch it. And I'm pretty sure I've decided to stitch it by hand. Now, there's one more thing. I haven't told you about that. I'm going to make a stamp. That's actually one of the things that's happening on the 3D printer this weekend, is that I'm making a stamp of some kind of, I think it's going to be some kind of a dragon motif. That's what I'm working with right now. And I'm going to stamp that into here and maybe my daughter's initials so that it gets a little sort of D&D feel to it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this down on here. And because it's on the surface, there's a good chance that this doesn't crease, that the thin stuff that wants to crease, that it doesn't while I'm doing this. Put that on, and then I put all of these on, blah, blah, blah. And then I glue all of this, I cover all of this in glue, and I can do something like that. Get that right in there. We're ready to do this, I think. This is making me very nervous. I'm going to wear a mask for this. Well, let's go. And he's off. Okay, I'm getting used to it. I'm getting the feel of it. Doesn't feel as bad as I thought it would. I should probably not go over the same place too many times, I think. And I should probably not move the leather around. So let's stop doing that right now, because that's going to get me glue on the front of it, and I don't want that. I can still see my markings, and I'm very happy about that. My God, this is infuriating. My camera's cut out again. I'm so sorry. You didn't see me do this. As near as I can tell, the cameras stopped recording in the middle of the gluing operation. I couldn't have stopped at that point to restart them anyway. But this is the result. Like, you were watching me put glue on the inside of this. You don't have to take my word for it that I managed to actually put the things together as I said I would. You don't have to take my word for it because it's right here. Outside, inside. And I still don't know if it's going to look horrible. We'll see when I'm done. But yeah, the gluing operation seems to have gone very well. I'm just gonna go. How badly can I screw it up? Don't answer that. Let's get my parts here. The various parts that I need. There we are. Ooh. I think I missed. Damn it. So I start the first one and I mess it up. That's exactly where that goes. I think it's possible that I can just give this a whack and poke the little teeth through. If I go like this, is a softer, soft-ish surface. So I do like that, and then the teeth are poking through, so I can feel them, which makes it even more easier to get this position right. I think this is definitely easier. There we go. Pound, pound, pound. Pound, pound, pound. Moment of truth. Ah, this is gonna be awesome. Look at that. And then I'm gonna stitch the edge and do a little like a crest or an emblem or something. This is gonna be great. Okay, cool. I'm gonna keep going. Now I'm feeling brave. After the initial failing of that one. Just poke it right through there. Whack. There we go. I'm gonna do this now. I'm gonna snap them all. So 1, 2, whoops, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Good God, that is amazing. That's actually, honestly, that looks way better than I anticipated. I mean, like I said, some of these are just slightly crooked off in this direction, ever so slightly. But, you know, it's leather. It's going to work itself. And it doesn't look it. I mean, if I'm staring at it, I can tell. But I was not aware. I did not anticipate that it was going to go this well. I mean, look at this. There you go. Man, this is great. This is one of the best things that I've ever made. All right, well, next step, I think I mentioned that I might want to do some kind of a template for doing these corners right. I don't know about that yet, and I think the way to get there, to find out what the final finish is going to be here, I think the way to get there is to cut it down to where I want it. So just a couple of millimeters from the edge. I think maybe I should just draw in a line first, something like that. And if I just score it lightly with the pencil, I think I'll just do that, just to get my bearings. Part of the reason for this, obviously, so that I can see it in its entirety before I make the first cut, or at least to help me, to help my my mind visualize what it's going to look like, and if there's anything I missed, something that I should have thought about before I cut. If I look at this, think that's nice. I don't know if you noticed this, but I've upgraded my ruler game. It has a steel rod here on this side, which is also rounded, helping me, especially with this thing, guide it without risking the blade catching on it or being dulled by it. And now there's a significant part of me which would have liked to cut with the ruler on the inside so that if the cutting tool travels, it doesn't travel into the workpiece. But it was, alas, it was not to be, because I had to put these in first to see where they went before I could cut it. So, oh, and also the ruler has a much better grip back than most rulers that I've had. It wasn't completely utterly cheap. But I'm gonna have this for the rest of my days probably, and I'm gonna enjoy it every time I use it. I mean, look at it. It looks so finished and pretty because the material is just, oh God, this is great. I'm very impressed. That was pretty neat. Let's just try and snap it up, see what it looks like. See? Look at the corners. So it still does have some kind of, it's handcrafted, and it does have that a little bit of that character to it. These are not exactly the same height, all of them, and you can see that. And I'm fine with that. I did make this by hand, so yeah. I think we're good. I think that's where we're landing. So basically this is now done. I am still not sure I'm going to do that edge stitching because it doesn't, I'm not sure it's missing. I'm not sure anything is missing here. The edge surely doesn't need it. You can see I mean, the gluing went well. So the edges don't need it. They look great. Oh, and by the way, the other side, I haven't been showing that much. This is sort of like the rougher, slightly more raw leather. I mean, look at it. It looks amazing. One thing I am going to do, however, is I'm going to add an emblem or like a sort of a little logo thing in the middle here. And I'm going to add one that reflects the recipient of this gift, my daughter, and what it's meant for. All right, so the 3D printer is done. And here is the embossing stamp, I guess you'd call that, which is going in the middle of this thing. I perused some articles about how to do this, and they told me to just dampen the leather a little bit. So I have some water. It's not supposed to be like soaked, just damp. And now I'm going to commit. And by commit, I mean 20 kilos of weight goes on there. And now the pressure is very nicely centered. So let's let that sit and get back to it. That did not work. Actually, it worked, but it didn't work well enough. I made a mistake. I should have put this thing. It has this point where it presses, and it turned out that it doesn't distribute enough. So I should put a book or something on this and then some weight. I actually think it's there. So like I said, I'm going to put something to distribute the pressure on this whole thing. So it's on straight Danish design, because what else would I put on there? And then some weight. And I'm just going to check to see if it lilts or droops. Let's do it. And the weight distributor thing. And then carefully. Ooh, I guess that's a good sign. There we are! Yes! That's exactly how I wanted it to look. Check that out, huh? Hold on, let me just snap the whole thing up. How about that? Ladies and gentlemen, we're done. The project is done. I'm very, very pleased with this. It turned out much better than I had dared to hope. I have never done leather work before, especially not this kind. I mean, I may have, stitched two pieces together or repaired a belt loop or something like that, but nothing remotely resembling this. I'm very pleased. I really hope she's gonna like it. I made a little receptacle for it here because I'm afraid that I'm gonna do something terrible to it between now and the time when I'm giving it, and that can protect it. Guys, I'm so happy. I'm glad I've had the opportunity to share this, and I hope that someone else finds it useful. I had a lot of fun, and I'm very pleased. Thank you so much for watching and for tagging along for this journey here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.